How about now, Sarah? Can you
All
hear
right,
us now?
Sarah, can you hear us now?
Man, you missed the great stuff.
Well, we can start over.
We may have to.
Just kidding. That was a test.
Yo, that was a test. Yo, welcome to this week's
episode of
the
No
RoadFS
Volume
Podcast,
RoadFS Podcast.
where we have no idea what we're doing. Everybody's like, "What's happening behind the screen?" Don't worry, we're all professionals.
Are we good, Sarah?
We're good. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah, for being
That's
our technical
awesome.
support person.
I'm not even sure why that. Why does it? Sometimes StreamYard does some stupid stuff.
Yeah,
it just
there you
mutes
go.
us, takes the camera off, whatever. So anyway, as you guys know, me and Rod are here every week, and we have an amazing guest, Kyle Clark from Xtreme Detailing. And so we're gonna feel like we're like in what's that, Groundhog Day?
Yeah, Groundhog
Deja
Day.
vu.
We're gonna start over.
Let's do it.
So you're actually in town for a really cool event.
Yeah, I'm here for the Cruisin' Hidden Springs car show up in Sydney's neighborhood. Yeah.
Yep.
And I brought my family down actually we went in Southern California is where I'm from. We were vacationing in Bryce Canyon. We have a side-by-side.
Yeah.
So we went and did a off-road rally for 3 days.
Oh, fun.
And we left our toy hauler at my in-laws' house in Cedar City. And then we came here for the car show. We'll be here and then we'll go home, or we'll go pick up the trailer on the way home and get back to work next week.
Wow. Sounds like you're doing what I was doing a couple weeks ago, the world tour.
Yeah. Well, my wife's a school teacher. So when school's out, she wants to go and be on vacation and do stuff. So
I don't blame her.
Nice.
as soon as possible,
Well, one of the things that's pretty cool about that, you mentioned that your wife wants to go and enjoy summer. You've really built your business in a way that enables you the flexibility to do that.
As much as I can. It's always a battle, being a small business owner, because, you rely on your staff. Yeah. And I had a guy who's sick today, so we had to reschedule some stuff. But I got, sometimes you can't take it as a blessing that you got 2 weeks or a week out of your guys without any problems. Made it that far.
Yeah.
I
so
know
if
how
I
that is.
have to reschedule one day, all right, we'll deal with it. It's unfortunate. It's really hard to text a customer or call a customer and say, "Hey, I apologize, but somebody is not able to come to work today. I'm out of town." So that wasn't fun this morning. It was a little stressful. But you know what? I have some great guys. They do great work, especially when they're at work, when they're feeling well. So I've been blessed there. It's a lot of work. So many detailers out there they are entrepreneurs. They have an idea. They organize their business. They invest. I mean, that's the definition of an entrepreneur, is someone who's taking risk and has an idea and makes it happen. So the entrepreneur life is hard, and some are more successful at it than others. Some have that keen sense of business and hiring staff and getting through problems, and some struggle, and it takes a while. So
what do you think the key, what is the difference between those two people?
I've always, I love listening to podcasts. And I always have envied the guys who really came from nothing, because they are willing to take the risks. Yep. And really, it's the risk taking. What is your level of comfort in taking a risk? Those people who are okay with losing everything are usually the ones that can kill it. The ones that are comfortable like me, I have a harder time taking risk. I have to push myself to take risk. Or I feel like I have to have a safety net. Exactly what I was before I can make the leap.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily a bad thing at all. I mean, in an entrepreneurial world, there's a lot of people out there that, like you said, that didn't come from nothing, and they're good investors, they're good business people, but they are afraid to stay in something. It's always, I'm going to get in it to get out of it.
Yeah.
And sometimes you got to get in it and stay in it. And that's, you have to make hard decisions. We were, you're talking about employees at one time, Zen, where you guys walked in and caught me in the middle of a business call that we were at one point 24 employees, and that was too much. It was too much to handle. I was working 7 days a week. It was literally babysitting, and there's no other way to put it. We love our employees, and the people that work with Zenware right now, most of the guys have been here over 10 years, and I don't babysit those guys at all. But when we had 24, I was babysitting.
We were babysitting.
It was petty. It was like, I told Jody, I was like, I can't do the third grade employee thing. So we've let it naturally scale back to where we're now at 12 employees, and it's a much better place. And I, like you, I have a harder time taking that risk. But on the other hand, Jody is,
I'm all chips on the
jump.
board, man.
So,
all chips on the board.
So when you get that combination, it makes it a little easier. How's your wife when it comes to the entrepreneur stuff? Is she take a risk or not take a risk?
She's very safe. Her dad is a small, or I guess it was a small business, pretty good sized business owner. And her mom's a school teacher as well, or principal. So she's okay with me taking risks as long as we have the safety net of her income. Hey, Joel, how are you doing, brother?
Joel's one of my favorite people, man.
He's great.
He is really salt of the earth people. So,
he sugarcoats stuff too much, though. Joel, you gotta tell it more like it is, buddy.
Yeah,
don't sugarcoat it.
Sugarcoating Joel, that does not even.
You're too nice.
That's like, that's funny, man. So that right, both of you guys bring up an interesting point, right? As an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you have to be willing to take a risk, to go, you know what, I have a dream, I have an idea, I want to pursue it. And you guys have the discipline, and maybe it's an inherent characteristic where you're like, you know what, I'm going to align things up to make sure that I'm successful. And then you got people like me, like Rod said, I will leap and I will build it as I go. And there's negatives to both sides of that, right? Yeah. Because you guys can be too slow to move, and I can be too fast to move.
Having a partner works great.
Yeah.
I've noticed that in the industry that a lot of detailing companies that have business partners kill it. And a lot of companies that have partners kill it. Most detailers are, single
solopreneurs.
Just they're going at it on their own, and some kill it and some don't, but it's really like you have to take your time. And when I know I'm ready, I make the jump.
Yeah.
It's how I am. It's how I buy cars. It's how when I see what I want finally, then I'm like, I'm in. And I take my time. I've been looking for a shop location. And when I find the place I want, honestly, it's going to be scary as could be, because I don't even care what the price is going to be at that point. I'm just going to go, that's what I want.
Yeah.
But I haven't found it yet, or the one that I do want is still taken by another business. But I really want this other location. So
I think the key there, though, is it for the solopreneur or the person that doesn't have a business partner, is to partner with good companies that can help you and to understand your weaknesses and your assets, right? Your own personal, Jody would say, your blessings, right?
Yep.
What do you bring to the table? I know what my weaknesses are. Jody knows what his weaknesses are. And so we have a back and forth. And sometimes it's a little tense. You can do the same thing with a different business partner, go get an accountant, or even a product company. There's a lot of product companies that will help you as a partner, and to be like, hey, you know what? You're carrying too much stock. It's sitting on the shelf. You're not turning it fast enough. You should probably dial that down a little bit. But that's the thing is understanding that and having the humility to say, I don't know everything. And that's, before we got on the air, I was telling you, I recommended you talk to a guy that had some questions about RVs. That was really good. And the reason that I did that is because he was willing to reach out. He's like, hey, I don't know how to do this. I don't do RVs all the time. This is a massive panel of paint, what do I do? And I think that's the thing, is having the humbleness or the humility to reach out and talk to somebody that may have the skills you don't have.
So let's talk about that. Because I think a lot of times detailers get into the business, right? And they're like, I can detail cars, right? And they look at somebody like you that's killing it with RVs or they're killing it with boats. And boats they're a different animal just because.
I tolerate boats.
Right.
I don't love boats. I do them because my customers own them.
Right.
And I know my way around them.
Yeah. But let's talk about doing bigger projects, right? Because I think a lot of times people get, I can do this, but I can't do this. Or maybe I want to, but I'm not sure how to tackle this beast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like how do you eat an elephant, a little bite at a time. It's the same as a car. It's just 10, 20 times the size, or even bigger. And so you just have to think of it as tackling one task at a time and not be overwhelmed by doing the whole thing. So for like RVs, you got to take care of the roof first, clean it, condition it, whatever you're going to do, polish the top edges, work your way down, take one on one side at a time. Don't try and polish the whole coach. Do one side at a time, whether you're going to do the cut, then all the way around, or then the polish all the way around. Or if you want to just cut and polish one side at a time, that's okay. But you just have to think of it in smaller tasks, and it makes it more manageable. And part of the biggest problem I find with most people that are starting out with RVs, they have no idea how to price them.
Yeah. Right.
And it's a delicate balance, because you can make more money detailing 10 cars than you can an RV, and it'll take the same amount of time. So sometimes you have to figure out the opportunity cost.
Yeah.
Do I want to do the RV because I want to say I did this big, beautiful coach, or am I going to make more money doing it? So you have to figure out, what is the opportunity cost of you doing that RV? And if you are someone who gets tons of cars, why would you take the RV on?
Yeah.
And you have to explain that to the customer. Hey, look, like even right now, I have an airplane scheduled for next week. I have a guy who wants me to come out and do his boat. The boat is minimal. I'm not going to move that airplane.
Yeah, no way.
To take on that boat, because if the guy reschedules that boat, I lose that money. So I kind of have to tell the person when I'm available, hey, this is all I got. I'm not going to move this airplane that is thousands of dollars of income for a $400 or $500 detail on a boat.
Yeah, I think that's an important lesson, because last week I had to take a unexpected trip to Kennewick, Washington, with the car hauler to pull my son's Hyundai Veloster that blew the engine. And fortunately, I learned that it's actually under recall notice. So knock on wood, they'll pay for the rebuild. I just found that out. But, I took it to a guy that I've done business with for years. He repairs all of my cars, and I took it in and dropped it off. And he called me up and said, yeah, Jody, this is done. And he goes, it's going to be $7 to $8,000 to replace the thing. And he goes, but I got to tell you, he goes, I would love to do it for you, but if I do your thing, it's going to lock me out for an entire week, and it's going to lose opportunities in other jobs that are more profitable. And I'm like, he goes, I'm really sorry to say that to you. I go, oh, dude, Brian, you've been so honest and have integrity. I go, dude, I get it. I totally get it. So, I appreciated that, but I think a lot of business owners don't consider the true opportunity costs of bringing on something in to work on.
That's a good point, because, I recently had a guy reach out to me with a fiberglass reinforced plastic fifth wheel. So it's a very thin layer of gel coat, but it's basically, plastic with fiberglass and wood is how they make all these new laminate RVs now. Mm-hmm. He wanted it ceramic coated. It's a couple years old. It was getting a little oxidized. And I said, are you going to store this indoors or keep it outside? He goes, oh, it's going to stay outside. And I said, why waste the money?
Right.
I was like, look, if you're going to pay me thousands of dollars to polish this and put a coating on it, if you don't keep it indoors when you're not using it, traveling, or enjoying it, the coating isn't going to stop the oxidation. And he goes, well, why? So I explained to him, I've already done testing, real world testing with ceramic coatings, because I've been doing coatings for about 12 years now. And I've tested some of the best coatings out there, and there's some great products. but there's nothing that will stop the UV rays from discoloring. It's not really oxidation. It's like dullness on these. They're kind of tan. Some of them are gray and white. The coating won't save it. It's the sun that's killing it. You can still get a sunburn wearing sunscreen.
Right.
The same idea of the coating is there to protect the substrate, but if the substrate doesn't have UV blockers or inhibitors. So he goes, wow, I didn't know that. I'm like, look, I'd much rather you take the money that you would spend and go buy yourself a barn, you know, and put your RV in the barn, because he lives in an area where he could totally build one. And then we coat it, polish it, and it'll look beautiful forever.
Right.
Then waste, you know, $4,000 or more polishing and coating this. And then in 2-3 years, it's going to fade again and you're going to be upset with me.
Yeah.
But I didn't do anything. I just did what you wanted.
Right.
Now I'm giving you the facts of what's actually going to happen. So about 4 years ago, pre-COVID, whatever that was, I went to an RV manufacturer and I asked them for a piece of scrap, basically where they cut a window out or a door. And I went and I put, I think it was 6 or 7 different leading brand coatings on this panel. I put a piece of tape between each one. I prepped it the same way. I coated it. And I even did, very scientific, I did a control. So one area had nothing. And I coated it. I left it in the sun for 3 years straight.
Wow.
At 2 years, every coating had already failed, but they failed at different degrees. You can see the difference. Where it looked the best was where I had the tape and I pulled the tape that next day. Somehow the adhesive absorbed into the fiberglass, and where the tape was had a better shine than every other test section. And so I did this to prove, in a weird way, coatings don't work on fiberglass RVs if you're not maintaining them or if you just let it rot in the sun.
Yeah.
So like I have a fifth wheel, it's ceramic coated, but I pay a lot of money to keep it indoors because I don't want to polish my own coach.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with a faded RV.
So do you tell people to put a cover on them? Those
Yeah,
UV
something.
protecting covers of any kind?
You know, the cloth ones,
Yeah.
they help, but it's like the same idea. Eventually, if you wore a t-shirt, right, the sun's going to turn it kind of pink, right? And then it's going to start to fray and fall apart.
Yeah.
And the UV rays are still going to get through it. Is it the minimum? It is probably the bare minimum.
Yeah.
I always tell people to put an RV under like a hardscape cover, whether it's wood or maybe even it's like one of those, you know, tarp type structures around it.
Right.
It's not on it, it's around it. Or a metal building of some sort is the way to go. The minimum, if you live in an area that's not windy, would be like the poles with a tarp over it.
Yeah.
Because the other covers that you keep on, there's a whole other problem with it.
Right. They rub. Yep.
And they create more heat. It's
Yeah.
like a greenhouse effect. So it causes other problems like rubber shrink or expanding
and moisture
plastics.
problems. If there's any moisture
Yeah.
getting inside of it, it's gonna absolutely exacerbate the moisture issue because you're actually holding in the moisture that can't get out.
And they rip and then they flap around and beat on the RV. I've had to buff out, you know, beautiful RVs before because
right,
their cover
the
just
plastic snaps just rub.
Yeah.
So there's degrees of things you can do to deal with it, but I think that you know, if we go way back to the conversation we started about taking risks, people feel like it's a risk to be honest with their customers, but it's really not. You are doing so much more damage not being honest with your customers and telling them, hey, you're wasting your money, go buy a barn, than you are to just take their money and then have them dissatisfied in a couple of years. And that is, especially with people with, I mean, RVs are way expensive. They're hugely expensive, hundreds of thousands of dollars for an RV. And realistically, you beat the crap out of them. You take them out in the desert, you run up against trees, you do all kinds of stuff.
Even the high-end RVs, you know, if they're fiberglass but they're painted and you let it sit outside, you have a whole other problem. It's called checking.
Yep.
So the fiberglass will expand and contract, and it usually happens in the areas that the paint is dark, not the lighter colors. It will eventually get to the lighter colors, but it starts in the dark colors like reds or dark blue or black. And eventually the paint just shatters the substrate. And then you're left with all these little check marks, or some call them crow's feet. So, ceramic coatings will help prevent that because they're meant for paint surfaces and they work great, but it's not going to stop it once it happens.
Right.
So you have to, even if you kept your RV parked next to a building and it was like a, in Southern California, I would say the building would have to be on the south side, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And as tight as you can against the building.
Yes.
And as long as that sun didn't hit the front or the back in the morning or the evening, and you don't have to get a cover.
Yeah.
That building will give you shade.
Yep.
And so I do have some people with RVs that keep them next to their houses. And we literally have to polish like the last 5 feet of the RV, like every 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, why don't we just build a little temporary like wall here, like on those mesh
yeah.
that they use for like gardening.
Yeah.
Let's put something like that up around the back, and man, you're golden. But the sun is the enemy. Look what it does to our skin. You can.
Oh yeah.
There.
Yeah. I'm only
Farmer
20.
Dan,
I'm only
baby.
22 years old, and it's made me look
Yeah.
like this. So I think that's the problem, is people don't understand that. In science, they call it entropy, right? Everything is in a state of entropy. It's in a state of decline. You hit your peak, and for an RV or a car, the peak, the best protection, the best it's ever going to be is when it rolls out of the showroom floor, and that's it. From that point, it's a downward spiral. And
so you've been in entropy for a long time.
I've been in entropy for a long time.
Yeah, all downhill now.
It's all downhill,
So
baby.
I'm going to steal a statement that I heard Sydney say once: is you're not trying to reverse time, you're trying to stop time.
Yeah.
So you want to take that product, whatever that is, RV, boat, airplane, tractor, anything, and you want to take it from where it is today, and you want to stop it from progressing faster. You're not going to stop it altogether. And I think that's something that people don't understand about detailing, is you're not going to stop it from getting old. You're not going to stop the paint from deteriorating, especially if you're polishing it. You're constantly taking part of that substrate off. So you have to understand what you're trying to do, and what you're trying to accomplish is make it look as good as I can from today forward. You get, there's some stuff you can polish out.
Yeah.
Or sometimes I can remove a little bit of a bump from a shopping cart or something, but you're not going to go backwards to when it came off the showroom floor. So
no, that's a great point. And it's just like, these substrates are only meant to last so long.
Right.
There is a thing called planned obsolescence.
Right.
And it is very real, especially in the automotive world. And so your substrate on your car, if you did nothing to it besides wash it, it's going to look good for that 3 to 5 years, because that's where they want it to get 3 to 5 years. And the paint will start to oxidize and then peel and then flake and then rust. Same thing with RVs. The planned obsolescence of that fiberglass and the vinyl, which is garbage, usually only lasts 2 to 3 years, but if you left it in the sun nonstop.
Right.
If you started your RV off right, brand new out of the gate with a ceramic coating, you're probably going to get it to about the 4 or 5 year mark if you left it outside. I know this because that's what I did in my parents' RV. They don't want to put it inside. They don't want to build a barn. They did a cover. It didn't last. So now my dad has a polisher, and he has some Kyle's Boat and RV Restore from PNS, and he polishes it every 3 to 6 months. Because that's the choice he's made there.
Yeah.
That's the opportunity cost. Or you build a barn, or you pay way too much money like I do and store your RV inside.
Yeah, exactly.
So you wax it every 3 months or every 6 months. So there's always going to be, it's like, what's the degree of pain in your wallet or in your arms are you willing to endure to take care of this toy?
Yeah.
I have customers that have airplane hangars. I have customers that have beautiful, 60 by 100 foot buildings that they keep all their toys in. Their toys are going to look the same forever, because when they're not using it, they're not being destroyed by the sun.
Yeah.
So
No, that's a good point. So talking about sun, it's going to be super warm and sunny this weekend.
I'm glad.
And you actually came in for Sydney's car show.
Yeah. So we're here for Cruising Hidden Springs, and a lot of people are coming to support Sydney. A lot of her friends, I know people from PNS are coming. So that'll be great. It'll be a lot of fun. And this will be, I think, the 4th year, I believe, that I've been here, brought my family the last couple of years. So I'm excited. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm excited because so my boys are actually going to come. Christian
Cool.
and Ashton are going to come, and they've been really excited because about a month ago they're like, Dad, can we start a detailing business? So they've been really like learning and experimenting, had a number of customers, and so I said, hey, we got to go to Sydney's car show. I'm going to be there anyway, so my boys are going to come. My wife was going to come, but her work schedule changed.
Maybe we can get them on the NASCAR.
I think Christian would love that. So yeah, it'll be super fun.
There's lots of fun stuff to do at the car show.
Yeah, and Sydney's done a kicking job at doing things not only for the car guys that love and breathe fuel, as well as making it a family environment.
Yeah.
I know she's going to have jump houses and music, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So
yeah. So, earlier we were talking before we had to restart. I was telling, so I started my business in 1998. Where I was in high school. I think I was a freshman. It was like summer of that year. And, that's kind of where the entrepreneur spirit started for me. And I started, it worked out really well. So I obviously couldn't drive because I was like a freshman in high school. So what I would do is, my mom would pick me up from school. We would go to the police department where my dad worked, and I would pick up people's cars. I'd go get their keys. We'd come out. My mom would drive the car home. I'd spend the rest of the afternoon detailing it. And I did that during school. And then I did that in the summers. And then she would inspect my work. And then I'd bring it back to the officer or the secretary or whoever it was. I'd get paid. And that was how I started my business.
Wow,
that's awesome.
Talk about QC, mom inspecting your work.
Yeah, man. No one. She still, I don't like it when she's around. she'll come out and find a speck of something on a door jamb or no. It kept me. It gave me a good foundation of quality control, and got me started the right way. And so since 1998, I've been testing the entrepreneurial waters, constantly.
So there you go. Man. Extreme detail, a shine your mother would approve of.
Yeah, she'll probably watch this too. She'll love that.
I love that.
Way to go,
awesome.
Mom. That's awesome.
Oh man. So let's talk about one last thing before we go. So you've been doing some pretty exciting things behind the scenes with auto fiber.
Yeah. So in February, I left being a sales rep for P&S Detailing Products, and I moved over to Auto Fiber. I started a relationship with Ian a few years ago doing some product testing, obviously on the RV space. We did some stuff with a mid on a stick.
Mid on the stick is awesome.
It's my favorite thing.
Yeah, that thing is amazing.
Yeah. I mean, that's what makes Auto Fiber really unique is obviously all the unique items like the mid on the stick, the saver applicator, the barrel blade, and the scrub ninja. And so
now they have numbered towels too.
Yeah,
so
the quadrant towels
are on,
And I was just talking with a new distributor yesterday, and he was asking about those. And I said, the detailers, they have staff. It makes it idiot proof. It really makes it so when you look at the towel, which towel 1, towel 2, towel 3, or you flip it as you go. So Ian's really great at those creative ideas. So it's a lot of fun to come in and help grow Auto Fiber. It's also nice because we have a question.
Love mid on the stick.
Oh yeah. It's so great. And I love obviously for me, RVs, you don't want to scratch them up.
Right.
And bug scrubbers always scratch up all cars. So with the mid on a stick, one thing that Ian did that's really nice that I got to test and be a part of was the bug scrubber head, the cover for the mid on a stick, because I can use it on RVs, on big rigs, and know that I'm not just scratching the heck out of the clear bra or the windshield or even above the windshield, the eyebrow area. So between that and all the other covers that we have, it's just a great tool. And now we have a Scrub Ninja cover for the mid on a stick, which I love for RV roofs because I want to scrub the heck out of them. We want to get all that rubber up there or membrane scrubbed really well. Sometimes it's fiberglass, and I don't care how hard I scrub on it.
Right.
Because if I don't get it clean, when the morning dew comes weeks later, that oxidation buildup is going to run down the side. So we got to get it clean.
Yeah.
So big streaks next to the windows and all that stuff. And that's part of the problem with RVs is if you've never done an RV, that's one of the reasons you said you got to start at the top, because you'll spray it and all of a sudden a bunch of bug crap will run off the top of the drip rail, will run on the back, and you're constantly fighting that back section. So you've got to get up there and do that first. And everybody wonders on those rubber roofs what that black stuff is. And that's it's either rubber or it's literally mold that's growing on top of that rubber. It's
mold, it's dirt. And the problem that happens is when it runs down the side, if you don't clean that, it eventually bakes in with the sun. And then it causes other damage, where I've actually seen it run down in some of the RVs that have windows right there. And it literally caused permanent damage to glass, because it'll get not just on the outside, it'll get on the inside. And sometimes it'll get in the laminate between, and you can polish the windows on both sides. You'll never get rid of it. It's like etched in. So really important to keep the roof clean. And that's why I like that Scrub Ninja attachment. It's like all the other heads. But it's just black Scrub Ninja material. And I think it's going to do really well. So I get to work with distributors and new distributors. And I have the whole, wherever opportunities are. So setting up anybody all over the country, bringing them into auto fiber and helping them and selling great products.
That's awesome. Well, super exciting. Well, man, we're glad that you dropped by. We know you're super busy with Sydney. Sydney's over there typing away, getting everything ready. She's like, I gotta go. I got cars to detail. I got people to see and move around. So
tune in this weekend. We're going to be going live a bunch of times out there at the car show. We will try to grab some people when I'm not yelling at people to park their cars. And we will.
Rod the Enforcer.
That's right. Orange Firebird, part 2.
That's
all I'm going to say,
That's
dude. Part 2. Show up, bring that attitude way down, and we'll let you park.
We're going to have a great time.
We are going to have a
blast.
Yeah, you're just going to point at me and say, you want to deal with him? And then he's just going to burn out and leave like the last guy.
Like last time.
Come on over.
Come on. We have another special guest, Sydney.
Special guest, Sydney. Oh, you're camera ready every moment.
So, well, you're fine. So this is a funny story, right? So everybody knows I'm a Kyle Clark fan, right? So exciting. I get to sit here next to him. I know. Oh, so nice. Look at that. So we were at McHugh this morning picking up like the shirts and the koozies and stuff. And so we go down to the basement, and these guys see me all the time, right? And so we start walking down, and this one guy gets nervous and he goes, "Who are you? Are you like her bodyguard?" And he was like really nervous. And he's like, "Are you her bodyguard?" He goes, "You could call it that." Anyway, it was really funny. I thought it was hilarious. Yeah, I thought it was hilarious. Anyway, yeah,
he's a muscle man.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh shoot, who's this guy?"
This is the best podcast. I would say it's one of the best.
Yeah, totally.
The best was Beat Maker and Coffee.
Yes, it was. It was.
Hey, we do have to give you guys a shout out, because Monday morning with you guys, it's always informative. It's fun. You guys make a great couple.
So literally, this is the best podcast.
Yeah, because we got all of us. That's it.
Sweet.
That's awesome.
All right, I'm gonna go back to my email, but I just had to say that because it was funny.
I'm glad you did. So thank you for dropping in on the podcast. So guys, thank you guys so much for tapping in every week. Like Rod said, we'll be going live Saturday off and on. And Kyle, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's been great. I've known you guys for many years. We've worked together on some special projects. And I see how hard you guys work. And your friendship has always been just above board. And just I really appreciate how you guys are always selflessly helping the industry. Just helping everybody.
Well, thank you, man. That's what it's about, man. Like Hennon says, high tide raises all ships, right?
Yeah.
So
Bob,
be the tide.
Bob say it's about relationships.
Yeah.
And it really is. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here, because I'm here. This worked out great.
Yeah, it's awesome. So. Well, we're super glad to have you. So guys, check us out Saturday, and we will check you same time, same bad channel just next week. So see ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.